Hello. In this video tutorial, what I want to do is actually talk about Excel keyboard shortcuts. Throughout the course, when I'm going through Excel, I'm using a lot of shortcuts on my keyboard and I'm not using my mouse that often. I want you to know about these Excel keyboard shortcuts so you could do them, so you could be faster and more efficient. But also, I don't want you to be lost as you're following along with my lectures and you're being like, hey Roger, how is he doing that so fast? I'm confused. So let's get you these foundational skills in Excel keyboard shortcuts so you could do them yourself. All right, so let's please open up a new instance of Excel, a new workbook, and we're going to go to this cell A1. Let's put some values in here. So I'll do a equals rand. So that's going to give me a random number between 0 and 1, and I'll multiply it by 1,000 there. Let's copy this formula over, and I'm pressing Control C to copy that, and I'm holding down Shift, pressing the down arrow to row 5, and the right arrow all the way to column E, and I'm pressing Control V to paste that formula, and escaping to get out of here. The problem is if I press like 100 out here, these values are changing because there's a random function in here, and that random function's changing every time I'm doing a new calculation in my workbook. I don't want that to happen. I actually want it to keep the values that are in there. So to paste the values, instead of having a formula in here, I could highlight my cell by holding down Shift, down arrow, and right arrow, Control copy, and then Alt E S V to paste the cells. Alt E S V. You'll see me doing that often to paste the values somewhere. Escape to get out of there. All right, so let's say I want to take a sum of these cells here to get a grand total for a column. The long way to do that is typing out equals sum, open parentheses, highlighting my range, close the parentheses, and I get that value there. The faster way to do that is actually just pressing Alt equals. Alt equals creates a sum formula for the cells directly above where I'm putting a formula. And then I could press Control B to bold the cell. So now I could press Control C and copy that formula all the way to the right to get the sum of these columns. And I can actually edit the formula by pressing F2 to edit a formula directly in the cell. So I could do a times 200 if I wanted to, or anything like that. But yeah, editing a cell, you just press F2 to do that. So back to my example where I'm copying this formula over, and I did a Control C and then I did a Control V and pasted it across this range right here. There's actually a faster way, so I'm just going to press and delete these cells here. What you can do is copy a formula all the way to the right by taking that cell that you want to copy that formula over across a range to the right, Shift, and highlight my range where I want to copy over the formula, and press Control R. So Control R copies that formula to the right there. But make sure if you do that Control R, the cell that you want to copy over is on the most left part of your selected range. Escape to get out of here. What else do I do often? Oftentimes I'll take the sum across my range to the left here, and I'll do a grand total across my columns. Control B to bold that. So F2, you can see I'm summing over this range. Oftentimes I want to copy this formula all the way down these empty cells here, so I'm getting a grand total across each row. There are many ways to do that, but to do it with your keyboard, there are many ways. Well, you could use your mouse, you could double click this. You could use your mouse, you can drag this. But oftentimes what I'm doing in the lectures, I do a Control C to copy, I press a left arrow, then I press and down to get to the very bottom of my range. Then I go right arrow, shift and up to get my cells going upwards, and then I press a Control V to paste those values. Those formulas actually. So that's oftentimes how I do it. Let's do it again. Control C, left arrow, and down, right arrow, shift and up to get those empty cells there, and then I press a Control V to paste that. Okay, so oftentimes you also want to insert new rows here. So I could do that by pressing a Control plus, and you have a choice. Enter a new row, enter a column. So I'll just do enter row, so that enters in a new row. If I want to delete that row, I'll press a Control minus and go down to entire row, and that will delete that entire row there. Oftentimes you also want to add new tabs, and you could press this arrow here to add a new tab, but the Excel keyboard shortcut is actually just to press Shift F11, and that opens up some new tabs that you could do more calculations on. To toggle between different tabs, you could press a Control page down, that toggles to the right, and then Control page up toggles to the left. What else is useful? I'll show you a couple more things. Let's say I want to always reference A1 across these cells right here, and see it did not work. And we'll talk about anchoring more throughout the course, but if you ever want to anchor a cell, you always want it to be fixed on A1, for example. You can press F2 to edit the cell, highlight that A1 there, and press F4 a bunch of times to see what you want to anchor. So that's what I want. I'll press enter, and I'll copy this, and you can see it's always staying on A1. So F4 toggles between your different options to anchor. A lot of things in Microsoft Excel work for Microsoft Word and Outlook and PowerPoint. For example, Control F is a find, and Control H is a replace. So you find something and then you replace it. Control F, Control H are very useful there. And the last thing I want to show you is this area up here, or it might be up here for you, is a quick access toolbar. And if you are finding yourself putting, you're going up here and you're using this a lot, or you're using this a lot, or you changing the dollar sign a lot, or you're making it a comma, or you're changing your decimal point a lot, you could actually put those in your quick access toolbar. For me, I use paste values a lot. I use goal seek a lot. So those top two I use quite often. To add commands to your quick access toolbar, you could press this down arrow, click on more commands, and you could pick some popular commands. You could pick all commands, and you can browse through here and drag some stuff over. Let's just pick one of these. Maybe you do an align right all the time, so you could add that to your quick access toolbar. And if you add something to your quick access toolbar, you could always reference it now. So let me take an example here. Let's do a random function again and multiply by 1,000, and I'll paste this formula to the right there. And before, I wanted to copy the values down instead of having a random function in here. So now what I could do is I could just highlight my range, Control C, and instead of pressing Alt ESV, which is a lot of keyboard entries and you might mess that up, you could actually just press Alt and then press 1 now, because the 1 indicates this paste values, or this 2 indicates the goal seek, or this 3 indicates the format painter. So if I want to paste the values, I could just press 1 now and escape, and you could see that the values are there now. So one more time, random times 1000. Now, there's the formulas there. I don't want the formulas, I want the values. So I press Control C to copy, Alt 1 now. And there is that keyboard shortcut. Very key to use your quick access toolbar to shorten up your keyboard strokes. So I encourage you to pick your most popular commands, try to explore this a little bit, add some new commands in here, and then now you have a whole menu of keyboard shortcuts that you could use. All right, so thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you have the skills in keyboard shortcuts now and you could use them yourself. You'll be super impressive to your coworkers and your friends and all that, how fast you could be in Excel now. And we'll learn more along the way on other keyboard shortcuts, but those are the foundational ones I want to show you so you could follow along. Thanks for listening.